This is your boy, the Supreme Poobah.
And this is the Enchantress Divine, Ruby Craft.
And you are now listening to the Dub Tape Podcast. Welcome back, everybody, to the Dub Tape Podcast. As I said before, I'm your host, the Supreme Poobah, and I am accompanied by the lovely
Ruby Craft.
She cut me off. It's all good. It's all good. Can't wait to get to it, though, right? So, again, this is episode 5 of the Grand Imperial Dub Tape Podcast, and I want to thank, first and foremost, I want to thank everybody who's been checking in and listening and, you know, seeing what the content is about and all of that. Give yourselves a round of applause. You deserve it. We deserve it. And I just want to say thank you. Like always, we're not just going to jump right into stuff. We are definitely going to talk about our days thus far. So, Miss Craft, how was your day?
It was quite long.
Quite long.
But, you know.
Your days are always long, you know. I just want to say, I think the last episode, the day was long.
It's long when you have to get up so early. So
Yes.
When you got to get up at like 3-4 o'clock in the morning to go punch a clock, yeah, it's long. And then, you know, when you have problems throughout the day, that makes your day feel longer.
Yeah.
So
Definitely dig that. We had some interesting things happening this week. I think on everybody's radar, and it would only be, it only makes sense to kind of just brush on this just a tad bit because this ain't really my thing. I want to know your opinion on it. Everybody that's listening in, as you know, dubtapepodcast@gmail.com. Hit us up on our social media. We're there now. We're there. We definitely want to gather some opinions, you know, because you people make the show go round. You know, I mean, we have our own thoughts and ideas, but we want to know what everybody else is thinking. And unfortunately, I want to bring up the submarine.
jeez.
Yeah, I want to bring up the submarine that kind of like went down and didn't come back. That was supposed to be exploring the Titanic. What are your thoughts on that? Like, how do you feel about that?
I feel like it's a waste of money.
Waste of money. Okay.
I feel like it was a waste of money. I feel like they got scammed. Congratulations, you fell for it. It's that type of shit.
Wow. Okay.
But at the same time, like, the more people like poke fun at it and they do a little more research, that thing made a couple of trips already beforehand.
So it's been told, yes.
So it's been told. So it's made a couple of trips already. But I mean, for professional engineers to be like, hey, the way you went about this is not safe. And nobody listened to these professionals. And you
Didn't he get fired or something like that? Like,
he got fired from somewhere else for neglecting safety.
Okay.
So then he was like, okay, I'm gonna do my own thing, and then decided to use a PlayStation controller to control the shit. Like, nah, man. There's so much more productive shit that could have been done with that $250,000 per person.
$250,000. To put it in perspective, that's $250,000.
Right. And they got 5 people on there. So
four passengers, and one was actually like the captain of the
right. So that's
tank.
$1 million.
Right. A milli.
So much more stuff could have been accomplished with that $1 million. But no, you want to be at the bottom of the ocean with the Titanic.
I would have been comfortable watching the movie, honestly.
We've all seen the movie. That's the wild part.
I haven't, But
really,
yeah, it's one of the whatever came out around that time.
You realize that's a first, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Normally, I haven't seen any movies that I saw.
The Titanic was, it was one of those things where I'm kind of like, it's whatever.
Well, I was also like that because like everybody's like, oh, you seen it? It was so sad. Oh, I cried. So when I finally saw it and went back to school, I was like, what y'all crying for?
I was like that with Scream. So that was that story.
I'm like, I couldn't. I'm like, why did you cry? What is wrong with you?
So let me weigh in real quick about how I feel about that little tragedy, because it is in fact a tragedy if it's true, because a small part of me refuses to believe that somebody on that craft, okay, top 10 richest people in like Pakistan. Right. He brought his son with him. The trip cost $250,000. 4 or 5 people are on that craft, and they go deep down inside. So I put myself in that position and I go, okay, Rube, me, you, we're billionaires, right? So we're going to do billionaire shit.
That ain't it though.
Listen. We're going to do billionaire shit. Me, you, one of my boys, one of your friends, one of my friends. That's a couple people right there.
Right.
We decide we're going to go see the Titanic, not the movie. We're going to actually go to the bottom of the ocean floor and see this shit. We get the money together. We pay online, surcharges and fees and all of that shit. So that shit was probably like $1,275,000, some crazy shit, taxes and all of that. And we go and we pull up to the spot where we're supposed to board this ship or craft, whatever. And we get there and that shit looks like that, No. Captain hops out with the PlayStation controller. The first thing I'm going to say is, oh, y'all playing Metal Gear Solid or some shit?
Right.
What's going on down there? You couldn't even comfortably board it. You had to like sit or cross your legs or lay down.
Right.
All of that. All of these are signs that I would have been like, I'm not getting on this shit and I want a refund.
Right. Exactly.
So even when you do get on that shit and you go down, I'm not the smartest motherfucker in the world, but I did pay attention in science class a little bit, and I'm familiar with pressure.
Right.
And quite frankly, that craft
wasn't going to survive it.
It wasn't going to survive. Past, I think, like 3,000 feet or 3,000 leagues, whatever they call it, it wasn't going to survive.
Right.
And it didn't. So for them to say, oh, it was, I think, 12,500 feet beneath sea level or whatever the case, they've been going.
And then not only that, the fact that it had already made a couple of trips prior to that. Each time you go down there and you're dealing with that level of pressure each time, the integrity of the submarine ship, whatever you call it, the integrity is compromised each time. That counts as wear and tear.
Right.
So you can't be like, oh, this has been down 10 times or whatever. And I'm like, okay, and how many repairs have you made to it since?
And then on top of that, as the, I don't know the difference. I would imagine that it's kind of like the same wear and tear on the human body because you're in a capsule and, things change regardless. Decompression sickness.
Right.
Those are the things that you kind of got to think about. And for whoever was on there and they kind of co-signed it, oh, I've been down there 30 times already, this, that, and the third, boom, boom.
Right.
Wah, wah.
And who's to say you're not going to fall out from being down there 30 times?
30 times. And on the 31st time, right, you don't come back.
Right. Your heart gives out.
Right.
Or whatever.
Right. Sidebar. So, space is so, because it's space, essentially. It's, you got upward space and you got downward space. It's things that you just don't, we haven't traveled and explored enough to know the full understanding of it. And I was watching the documentary because, I'm also a wrestling guy.
Right.
And I was watching the documentary on a guy. One of my favorites, didn't even know he was from hometown, in a sense. And he was going through his little bid with the whole wrestling situation and everything like that. Then come to find out, he got hurt, had a surgery, jumps up, gets on the plane right after surgery.
Oh, not supposed to do that.
I don't fly very often. I've probably been on a plane one time, so I didn't know that. And apparently that was the beginning of his demise.
Right.
Because he had, I believe he broke his ankle or whatever the case was. I know he had several broken necks. And I'm talking about Chris Candido for everybody who doesn't know. Chris Candido, Skip, and Sonny, the Body Donnas back in the day. You know, great talent, just bad management, you know. He goes and breaks his ankle, I think, in like TNA or something like that. Gets the surgery. For whatever reason, he needs to get on his flight to get back to wherever he was going. And was talking to his mom and his brother, all of this stuff. And he gets super duper sick, ends up in the hospital.
Yeah.
His mother told him that, well, his mother said in the show he wasn't supposed to get on the plane right after surgery.
Right. You're not supposed to. You got to give yourself time to adjust. They got to make sure there's no chance of an embolism traveling or anything like that.
Right. All of these things.
All of those, even women nowadays who are flying to the DR to get their surgeries, they got to wait a couple of days before they could hop on a flight back home.
So
or at least they're supposed to.
So I've heard. Yeah, absolutely. But all of those things, and he ended up, you know, the official report, I believe, is like, you know, blood clot formed and traveled into his lungs. Yeah. And that's what took him out.
Yep.
So it's just like, wow. So that's on an airplane, let alone a submarine.
Right.
Where the pressure is, I look at it like you go up, the pressure goes one way. You go down, the pressure goes another way.
Yep.
But the magic constant between these things is pressure.
Right.
So we're not going to harbor too much on those subjects. It was just a little brief introduction to catch up on things that's been going on during the week. And there was so many other things, but that was like literally the top. You know, that was literally the top subject that's been floating around social media and things like that.
Yeah.
Our topic, coming to you live and direct from the Imperial Dub Tape Podcast, live from the Zero Gravity Room as of today. We are going to talk about relationships and sex. And I'm going to let Ruby Craft get busy because I got a feeling she just has a whole lot to say on the subject. And I will lay down the things that I feel about the subject. So take it away, Ruby Craft.
All right. So let's start with what healthy relationships look like.
What healthy relationships look like. Okay.
Okay. So you prioritize communication in a healthy relationship. Mm-hmm. That should be priority. You should be able to resolve relationship issues, personal goals, aspirations. You should be able to talk about all of these things, right? Finances, family situations, you know, shit that comes across in the day-to-day. You should be able to communicate all of these things effectively. Mm-hmm. You know, like let's say, hey, you know, a married couple, hey, my mom isn't doing too good. I want to bring my mom in. You know, your wife is like, hell no over my dead body.
Ouch.
And that's the end of the conversation. That's not healthy. Like, y'all got to figure out, you know, a dialogue needs to be had.
I just want to interject right then and there because I'm going to let you take full form on this thing, but I will interject on certain subjects, and I got to tell you that's kind of a red flag for me. But like the last episode I told you, I played Double Dare with this shit.
Right.
So a woman who is super duper close to her mother is a red flag for me. Go.
Really?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how to feel about that. So
you can have a healthy relationship with your mother.
Right.
But when your mother is causing you issues, that is bringing issues into our relationship,
well, yeah,
I have a problem with that.
Yeah, same. That I agree with. There's close and then there's too close. Mm-hmm. So, no, I agree with that because when you let your family like get in your ear about stuff and then, yeah, it will sabotage the relationship. And
I don't even like hearing about the fun shit, honestly.
and it works both ways though.
Right.
Because, a woman could get with a mama's boy, and the mom steps in. Oh, I need this. Oh, I need that. Oh, I need this. I need that. And you're like, hey, yo, you're my husband. You're not your mother's husband. I'm like, your mother's grown. She's capable. She has this. She has that. She has all these other people around her that can help her. Why is she calling you at the drop of a hat every single time?
But if she doesn't, you know what I mean? Like, if your mother doesn't have anybody around her.
If she doesn't, that's different. That's totally different.
Okay.
But I mean, I've seen situations where the mother-in-law has the community, she has other kids that can help or whatever, but she stays calling the one kid. She stays calling him.
Sometimes that one kid is just the one, Like, being the chosen one is no fun, I'll tell you that.
Well,
but
yeah, and I agree with that. But I don't know. It's levels to it.
I agree with that.
It's levels to it. Because the thing is, why call the son that has a family, that has a house, when you have a son that lives right there with you?
But sometimes that one son just might not be capable of doing the things that he should be doing. And let's not just say sons. Let's say
they're capable. They're capable.
They just don't want to. And this kind of goes back into the toxic realm of things, because again, like I was about to say, let's not just say sons. Let's also
it's daughters too.
Daughters, like just siblings, kid, whatever. And if your mother is comfortable with you, it's a gift and a curse. If your father is comfortable with you, it's a gift and a curse.
Right.
So when people,
I mean, I get it, because like between me and my sibling, I'm the responsible one. Okay. Like, my sibling has a bunch of problems, so when it comes down to my parents needing something, even though they have a whole community, they might call on that community first because of the status of the quote unquote status of our relationship. But when it boils down to it, they will call me because I'm the responsible one that can get it done. So yeah, I get that. And I'm not even that close with my parents. Like, we have a good working relationship, but it's not the greatest. It could be better. So
I mean, everything can always be better.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Everything can always be better. I just think that it's almost like returning the favor, because even with my situation, it's like, I'll do anything for my mom because she's done any and everything for me.
Right.
And same thing with my dad, but my dad is no longer here. So It's like I owe it to him to take care of my mother, and I owe it to him to take care of his mother. And that's just how I come up.
So is that not to an extent a toxic level of thinking too? Because we are the generation that we're quick to cut family off for the sake of our own peace. Many of us, not all of us.
Yeah.
Like we're raised, oh, blood is thicker than water. Oh, you owe your parents this, you owe your parents that because they did this and they did that. And a lot of us, in dealing with toxic relationships with our parents, and those of us with kids, even our kids, because we're teaching our kids boundaries, we're like, why do I owe this to you? I didn't ask to be here.
Very true. And
Why?
I want to say,
you raised me, trust that you raised me to do right and let me fly. Period.
I don't think that you should completely cut your parents off, but there has to be levels. And I don't want to stir too far away from the topic of relationships, but it all starts from the relationship that you have with your parents.
Absolutely.
You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And I fault, it's a couple of things that I kind of fault myself with when I think about not so much past relationships, but when you put it to the test and you get married. And on my end, I wanted somebody who did the things that my mother did. And on her end, she wanted to do the things that her father did.
Right.
Me and her father were two different people.
Right.
Her and my mother were two different people.
Correct.
And I couldn't hold that against her, but she didn't quite see that as far as holding things against me.
Right.
You know, and when you jump into a relationship and you say stuff like that, or if that's your mindset, pardon me, you really have to double back on who you're dealing with. And you guys really have to have that sit down and think and talk about the future of your relationship.
Right.
You know, because if you think for 1 minute that a woman that is not of your bloodline is going to put up with a lot of your shit, you got another thing coming, and vice versa.
Correct.
You know, so it's when people, the only thing that separates the woman that you love or the woman that's in your life that you're courting, whatever the case is, the only thing that separates that is sex, in my eyes. You know, like you could like somebody, they could be cool. They could do a lot of the things that you do, and you know, you might have that little tingly feeling in your hand. You know, your paws might start tingling when she comes around or he comes around, and it's like, oh, this is cool. This is gonna work. This is gonna work. This is gonna work. But then you don't know exactly how that's gonna play out in real life because you haven't seen. You see the good, you don't see the bad,
right?
And you damn sure ain't seen the ugly yet,
right?
So,
which is why the first key is communication. And part of that communication is laying down your expectations of the relationship.
I don't agree with that.
Why
honestly? Because women, especially women, do that on dating apps and stuff like that. They will lay down exactly what they're looking for. And some people might say, oh, that's good, that's cool, that's this, that's that.
But you don't want to reveal too much on a dating app because now you're giving somebody the cheat code to do whatever it is that you want. But I'm saying after you jump through the dating hoops and you say, okay, we're going to be in this relationship. So I expect monogamy. I expect for you to tell me how you feel about certain things before you blow up. Or if you feel, or we do a check-in. How are we feeling about this? I
do check-ins. I definitely do check-ins.
Check-ins are so important.
Right.
They are extremely important because you have to make sure that you're on the same page in order for the relationship to continue and to thrive. So it's so important, and it's important to do it on all aspects.
Right.
Because like, for example, the one girl from the Real, Jeannie Mai, she got married. Her and her husband, when they got married, they said, we don't want kids, right? Mm-hmm. So she and she was cool with that. She was like, I don't want kids. He was like, cool, me neither. And instead of doing that check-in, all of a sudden he was like, no, I want kids, and I just thought you was going to change your mind. So now they're divorced. Mm-hmm. They're divorced because she still didn't want to have kids. She was true to what she said. She's like, no, I don't want kids. We already had this discussion. And they didn't check in.
Let me ask you a question. Does one go into a relationship seeking marriage and reproducing? Or is like, because without that
depends on the person.
But it's so, with that being said, it's like after marriage, what else is there? You reproduce. You kind of want to see another part of yourself functioning in the world. Yes, no? So
here's the thing. In this economy,
okay.
In this economy, everybody needs help. Okay? Mm-hmm. You need help in some way, shape, form, fashion. Whether it be with bills, whether it be benefits, like healthcare benefits and all of that. And then at the same time, companionship is good too. So you want the companionship to be there, but at the same time, a lot of things, it boils down to monetary, because you also got to think about it. Marriage is a business.
It's definitely a business.
It's a business.
It costs to get involved and it costs to get out.
Right. Exactly. So really, are we going to fall for the okie doke of marriage? Like everybody has this idea, let's get married. It's going to be great. It's this, it's that. We're going to get married. We're going to have kids. And the reality is we lost sight that it was originally a business. It was a means for the courts to get money. It was a means for families to get money because, oh, my daughter will marry you and you give me 6 cows or whatever the case.
You went back to like Mesopotamian time.
Well, I mean, and it's actually still true. Like in some places, people still pay a dowry to get married.
2 cows for your finest daughter, please.
Right. Yeah. It's ridiculous. Yeah. So, I mean, really, when you think about it, it's a business. I don't think there's a whole lot of people that are getting married just for the sake of getting married and to reproduce, unless you're religious, because then religion dictates no sex before marriage. So
not in this day and age.
Depends on the religion and how devout you are.
Let me tell you something. If you're not giving up the cheeks prior to marriage, then you're gonna have a rough life.
Well, no shit.
Bottom line. And I hate to say it, like the emails might come pouring in, but it's
they gonna come for you.
Nah, they can come and they can come. They can come all they want. But guess what? If you're not coming, then you ain't got shit to say to me. You see what I mean? Because this is. Let me ask you a question. So, right now, your mind state, as far as like, how do I say this? The order of operations,
right,
when it comes to a relationship for you, how does that work? We may have covered this in the last one, but I don't remember. And I think it's important because
for me personally,
you personally, yes.
For me personally, obviously you got to get to know the person. Mm-hmm. Maybe go out on a few dates.
A few dates. Now, what's a few dates? Count that. Count it up.
Count it. It depends on the person. It depends on the person.
Just complications already. Go ahead. So many complications.
It depends on the person. It could be 3. It could be 5. It could be 2. Or sometimes you just be like, look, my back itch. Let me just. Sometimes.
My back itches.
My back itches. Come scratch my back and get the fuck out.
Okay.
It depends.
That's respectable. That's kind of respectable.
It depends on what you feeling, how you feeling, and what your mindset is when you go out. So, like for example, I just got out of a relationship. Mm-hmm. I'm not beat to look for another relationship right now.
Right.
I'm over it. So, whatever happens along the way. Let it happen organically. But at the same time, I'm like, I'm not looking for anything.
So do you think that's a compromise is the word of the day. I feel like I got to get that Pee Wee Herman shit going. Because that's definitely the word for the day. What you just said, and this is reality. And it's like, this is the reality of the situation. But do you feel like what you just said, and then you go into it and you look at people's dating profiles and they put all this shit out there. You could be just getting out of a relationship and somebody puts all of that shit on Front Street on a dating profile.
Yeah.
You're not even feeling that shit. But then you get, look-wise, somebody responds to you. I don't even know how it goes. Like, hey, what's up? Whatever the case is. And you look and it's like, oh, he's cute. All right, I'll give him a chance. You know what I'm saying? Is that how it works on the female end of it? Like,
you know what? I've been off of dating apps for so long, so
No, I'm not laughing at that. I'm just laughing because I'm thinking about my profiles. I think
you went over your profile, and I'm just like, I'm not really big on.
Thanks, Cameron. Go ahead.
So actually, no, that's a total lie, because I did do the Facebook dating app, and I am so afraid to swipe right on anybody because everybody looks like the killers.
Everybody looks like the killers.
Everybody looks like the killers. So I'm just like, even for friendships, I'm like, nope.
Friendships, and that's the thing that really gets me, right? The friendship aspect. I'm not trying to be your friend. I'm not trying to be your friend. Like, if I'm on a dating app, I'm not trying to be your friend.
Well, no,
I'm looking for more. Like, I'm looking for so much more.
It's two parts, though. So where that comes from is, so Facebook has it for dating and for friendships, to find new friendships. And you can pick which one that you want.
Right.
And what actually started all of that was Bumble.
Right.
Okay. Because
I signed up, but I never got busy with Bumble.
Okay, so you're not going to get busy with Bumble until the woman initiates contact anyway.
Oh, is that how it works?
That's exactly how it works. Okay. So you can't even talk to them until the woman's like, "Oh, he's cute. Let me go talk to him." And that would be it.
Okay.
So, but what I found out through TikTok is that women are linking up just as friends.
Women are linking up. Okay.
Yep. So they're linking up just as friends. They were using Bumble to make new girlfriends. So now they have somebody local in their area to go to brunch with or whatever. So, and just just have a friend group.
I guess it's like a hands-free, no strings attached kind of ordeal.
Right.
Okay. It makes sense.
So, I don't know how I feel about you being on Bumble.
I mean, somebody told me, and if you follow the tail of the tape, and I decided to put this on social media, the person who told me about Bumble and the things he told me about Bumble, you'll know who he is, you'll know who I am, and it kind of go from there, right? Because he told me he was just
I could take a guess right now.
Nah, you'll never guess. It'll be so left field. Because this guy is like, you wouldn't even think we'd be friends. You wouldn't even think we'd be friends, but it's like, nah, he's a really cool guy. And he's just like, yeah, man, you got to get on Bumble. And I'm like, really? And he was like, bro, I'm telling you, Bumble. And I'm like, bro.
And you know what? I tried Bumble. And the first person that popped up was the person that broke my heart many years ago. So I was just like, that's it. I'm done. Like, I canceled all this shit. So I'm like, what the fuck? The universe literally told me to go sit my ass down somewhere in the corner.
I go and I look at shit, right? I look at shit, and then it's like I go look at, I hop on some dating sites, and I go through them, and it's just like one day in the back of my mind, it's like, this is like millennial shit. It's like I go through and I start swiping. She's cute. Okay, I read your profile.
Right.
So all that crazy shit.
We established that.
Right. Either you got to match my brand of comedy and really be cool and shit. Don't put, I read comic books and this, that, and the third, and all you read is whatever the fuck Marvel puts out, shit like that. I'm reading your profile. I'm kind of like analyzing the whole shit.
Right.
Don't ask me not to judge, because that's why you put your profile up, to be judged.
Right.
So.
Now, did you try BLK yet?
Fuck no. I love black people. Can't stand. You know how it goes.
That's terrible.
Because that's what they're gonna be like, and I really don't be going for all that extra energy. Honestly, like you can miss me. You can miss me with the hotep, all of that. Like, just be you. Just be regular.
No, it wasn't. So surprisingly, it wasn't a whole lot of hotep up there. When I was up there, surprisingly, it wasn't. And I had some decent experience. I had some weird experiences with that, but I was just like, and not only that,
I have got to stop drinking this shit.
The surprising part is, even though it's a dating site primarily for black people, you will see white people up there that are looking for black people. And I'm just like,
of course.
I don't.
It's like back in the day, like when you had,
I kind of feel like I just want to make my own app called The Swirl, and that should be for that.
Shouts to The Swirl.
Shouts to The Swirl.
But when you talk, all right, so let's get to
all right.
Pardon me. Oh my God, this is like really.
Oh my goodness.
I gotta stop drinking this shit. I gotta tell you, but.
All right. Do you want the other signs of a healthy relationship?
Healthy relationships go like this to me. Whatever the fuck makes you feel happy. Because, hey, let's be honest here. Some people like problems all the time. I do not. So therefore, people who are looking for problems, find people with problems. You'll be happy. People, I don't believe in, a couple years back, I was definitely in the dating phase and kind of like, just casting the rod, seeing what's this and what's that, boom, boom, wop, wop. And it was like you're going through all of these things, and the magic constant, as I like to call it, amongst a lot of women who I was talking to or dating was, oh, well, you're going to run into problems regardless. You have to run into problems in order to have a successful relationship. I don't believe that shit.
No, that's not necessarily true.
It's
because
not.
you can avoid problems simply by communication, and through communication work out what your compromises are and what your non-negotiables are. So you have to you have to work through that. So like my non-negotiable is you have to have a job and a car. Period. Don't come tell me your car is in a shop because I don't believe you. You're a liar. Fuck out of here. So
but that puts people, like, for everything that you say like that, there's actually somebody in that predicament. And
absolutely.
They're probably coming at you. And because you're like, hey,
try again.
You see what I'm saying? That makes it bad for the honest, loyal guy like me. Who's
it does.
Hey,
but
listen, my shit is really, what I got to do, go to the shop and take a picture in front of it, like put it on social media. Like,
because scammers do that shit all the time.
And this is
for what?
So how do you win? How do you win?
I don't know.
Win?
But I'm just, as an example.
Right.
So, but yeah, you have to lay down what you're willing to compromise on and what are your non-negotiables. So, as long as you are able to do that, and then at the same time, like other things trickle into it too. Like you have to be emotionally compatible. Like,
okay.
Like for example, my one ex and I kind of feel like we were emotionally compatible because like when I was younger, I was still laid back, but I did have my moments of being a hothead. And he would be like, hey, yo, go calm down. Go smoke that blunt, and we can come back and talk about it. So he was kind of like, he balanced me out in a way to a certain extent. Mm-hmm. So you have to make sure you're emotionally compatible in order to do that. And then the other thing is you have to be happy with yourself and who you are first. You cannot walk around putting onus on your mate, your spouse, your boyfriend, girlfriend. You can't put that onus on somebody else.
Right.
You can't be like, oh, you don't make me happy. No, bitch, that means you wasn't happy to begin with. You didn't have happiness prior to, and you think a relationship is going to make you happy. And that's not the case. Mm-hmm. A lot of people are like, oh, if I just had a relationship, I'd be happy. No, figure out what the fuck makes you happy, and happiness is a choice. So if you choose to be miserable, then you're going to be miserable once you get into a relationship.
I mean, I'm gonna take the effect of, like, if you're mad at something and you can't get over it, you'll just be mad forever.
Right.
Because you can't come from one relationship into another relationship.
Because that's called a rebound.
No.
It is.
I don't even consider it a rebound.
It is. If you don't wait a specific amount of time, it's a rebound.
I don't, nah.
No?
I don't believe in that. Because me personally, I'm just like, hey, listen. I just left this relationship. This just so happened to roll my way. I'm going to pick it up and see what happens. And if that doesn't work out and somebody else comes around, I'm going to pick that up. It's like, because humans need companionship.
Right.
Nobody is that stone cold. I don't give a fuck. Nobody is that stone cold. I don't need anybody. Men and women both. I don't need nobody to be happy. And you're right. You don't.
Right.
But in the same breath, you would like companionship.
Right.
It's
absolutely.
Not, any human that doesn't want that is an animal.
So let me ask you this.
Please.
You're saying you get out of a relationship, somebody come by, you go and scoop up another one. You don't have like a time frame to collect yourself?
Nope.
And to before you move on?
Nope.
Because believe it or not, you may be bringing baggage from that previous relationship right into that next relationship.
I mean, but I would need somebody as smart as you to realize that and then work around it. Because if we get to a point where we start talking about stuff like that and you jump into it, and because clearly you came at me, right? And you're feeling me, and I'm just going to give you a chance. And it goes both ways. Don't get me wrong. It goes both ways. And if you know I came out of a relationship, in the back of your mind, you got to be like, this person is still attached.
Right.
To this other person somehow, some way.
Right.
You could tell by body language, you could tell by the conversation, all of that stuff.
Right.
So, with that being said, yeah, I don't it doesn't make sense to wait.
But who's to say the next person that comes along is going to be smart enough to pick up on that and to give you grace from bringing baggage from a previous relationship into the current relationship?
I mean, you live and you learn, right? So you can do that and be like, this is, but in the moment, this is how you are. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, in the moment, this is. I'm sorry, man. I've been drinking too much water. In the moment, that's just how you are, and I'm definitely, call me old school, call me old fashioned. It's like, love me or leave me alone. Love me or leave me alone.
Right.
And because I've been a victim, not so much a victim, but I've been guilty of shooting out, being like, all right, cool, I like this girl. Let me go half power, do this, do that, do this, do that. And then all of a sudden, it's like they not feeling it. Now you feel like the sucker. You know what I mean? And it's like, well, what's going on here? Like, I don't want to, I thought she would like these kind of things, and then they push back because they got issues that's going on, but they don't tell you. You see what I'm saying? They don't tell you. Right. And you're sitting up there.
That brings us back to the importance of communication.
Communication, yeah. But, also, with that being said, the issue of communication, when you got things going on, you also have to realize, like, look, you got to realize how fucked up you are.
Absolutely.
You have to realize that. And when you realize that, within yourself, you have to be like, it's not this person's fault. Yeah. You know what I mean? You have to be like, this is not this person's fault. I'm trying something new here. Whether you take time off, because that's the thing. You take time off and you kind of like gather your thoughts and whatever the case is. Right. You take that time off and somebody else decides they want to fill that slot. If you're fucked up, acknowledge that first. Right. Right. And then when you get into a new relationship, just know it's not the same person, because a lot of people, and I'm going to take a line from Drake. I like Drake, and I'm going to take a line from Drake. And he says something in one of his joints. He's like, I'm dealing with a heart that I didn't break. And that is some real shit. Right. I've been in relationships or been dealing with women where they talking about shit that happened 10 years prior. And I'm like, I wasn't even there. Like, why am I, I want to play 2K. Oh my God, 2K, you son of a bitch. Right. It's like, right. Hey. Yeah. Hey, I mean, what's that? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we all have shit like that. We all definitely have shit like that. Like, for example, there was a post on Facebook. There's like, oh, what's the automatic red flag? That you will not date. I put police and military. Because my ex-husband was military. I don't want to deal with that shit. Right. And not only that, but the stuff that I've dealt with, or the stuff that I've seen, I have seen many military relationships go left because of cheating, because of abuse, because of whatever the case is. So I'm just like, that is the last type of person that I would want to deal with. I absolutely do not want to deal with somebody in the military. Or
but that also puts you in a position of being like, it doesn't have to be everybody from the military.
Absolutely. Once somebody says always an exception.
A light goes off.
Right.
Right. And I get that. It's not right, but it's right to you. Right. You know what I mean? And
because at the end of the day, like, nobody knows what I've dealt with or what I've seen. Right. So me saying no to military, yes, that might come off as like a trauma response or whatever, but there's so many other things. So But yeah, so that is, if somebody came to me and they're like, "Oh, I'm military," I'm like,
Peace.
thanks for your time. Try somebody else.
Thank you for your service.
Right. Thank you. Exactly. Thank you for your service. I'm gonna go this way.
But I feel
here.
so bad for the guy who didn't go through the shit that said person went through that brought you trauma. And it's like, bruh, I wasn't a captain. I wasn't a captain on the yacht, but I'm on the boat.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I just would have loved you, man. And it's like, nah, military, get out of here. And it's just like, damn. And just, the world of dating.
And it's sad because a lot of people miss out on like potentially great relationships.
Yes.
But I'm like, you know what? At some point,
I'm gonna talk about myself, man. I'm fucking awesome. I'm fucking awesome, right? And because my social media, because I don't give a fuck. But you got to realize my train of thought is social media is not a real place. I don't give a fuck how many sanctions they put on me, and how many times I get shadow banned, and how many times I go to Facebook jail,
right?
Whatever kind of. It's like, look, if you know me, you know me,
right?
You know what I mean? And it's a completely different story. It's kind of an act, but it's an act based off of a true story,
right?
So I've heard people and I've seen people who are like, yeah, I heard your posts are kind of spicy and this, that, and the third. And I'm like,
so what? We all need spice in our life.
It makes your shit better, And it's like, so the fuck what? Like, if you in real life come kick it with me, it's a bit of a different story. You'll find remnants of some of those posts in real life with me, yes.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's like, hey, listen, this guy's all right. Like he's not
right. He's not all that big.
Right. Yeah. And it's like that with a lot of women too. And
Absolutely.
I look at it and I just be like, yo,
Absolutely.
why are we judging off of, again, I'm gonna back up Dave Chappelle and a lot of people. Social media is not a real place. It's not a real place. Like, you go there, it's an event for you to kind of like.
It's more so a tool for disassociating from reality.
Right.
That's all it is.
Right. And but it affects dating.
Absolutely.
Facebook date, and it's like that last time we talked about my profile. That was a result because it's like I can't be myself. If I'm going to put and this is the sad part, if I'm going to put my true self out there, if I was to say the things that I really care about and really like, acknowledge, that's like chapter 7 in real life. Right. You get to that if you read the book.
Right.
But off rip, I got to make it interesting. I got to make it interesting. So it's like, I'll say some wild shit. Yes, I will. And it's about 70% true. Right. It's about 70% true. But at the end of the day, it's like, okay, now that you've crossed the threshold, I could kind of start showing you little things here and there.
Right. That's when you start to open up and be vulnerable.
A little bit. Not even, I don't want to say vulnerable because there's nothing that you could do personally to me that's going to hurt me any more than what I've been through. So it's like, yeah, cool. But we're talking about dating. And I don't think dating is that hard. The hardest part is getting over the hump. Hey, will you go out with me? Without the, oh, well, I don't know if, blah, blah, blah. And, I don't know what your credit score is. And, your car's kind of old or, all this bullshit. And it's like, whatever happened to just vibing.
Who is doing that?
I can't tell you because it happens a lot. It happens a lot. Who in the fuck is that? I'm sorry. We're recording and people are just being loud. And I'm just being mean. But it's not even going to pick up. Like, nobody's going to hear that.
You angry old man.
Right. And I'm not. But it comes off like that. But I guess that kind of and this is why I work the way. If I don't feel a vibe from you off rip, and maybe this is just me being selfish. If I don't feel a vibe off of you, then it's probably not going to go how you thought it was going to go.
Right.
But this is why I kind of, I stick to my script. I press for sex early, a little bit, because the women that I'm used to dealing with or that have been in my life, my dating life anyway, have been so prude, and it's this rule book that I haven't read yet. And, it's like, you got to go through this and you got to do that. What happened to this? What happened to that? And I'm just like, yo, listen, you put all that shit out on Front Street and I don't even see you doing that shit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, you're not even leading up to what you consider your worth. So why should I break my back over 17 times? Oh, you got to take me to 17 dates. It's like a criteria. You got
right.
Okay, let me see your itinerary. Okay, I got to take you on 17 dates to Ruth Chris's first. Then you have to go on 2
church
private
dates.
Cruises. Church dates, no. Red flag that I'm not attempting to pursue. Come to church with me. No. I had one ex. Oh, come with me to church. Okay, went to church. And I'm like, yo, I don't go to church with my grandparents. You know what I'm saying? You want me to go to church with you, and you're doing things that you see on TV. I've been to church with my grandparents. They don't do that shit.
Right.
So if that's the vibe, this isn't even my kind of church. And I mean, it was just so extra wild. And I'm like, all of this shit, and you bitches got thongs and bikinis to go to Summer Jam next week. Like, what are we doing here?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But nonetheless, I think I've been talking too much. And I don't even know if it hit where it needed to hit, but I'm going to let you.
I feel like it did.
You think so?
Yeah, I think
I'm going to let you bring us home.
All right. So, anyway, when it comes to making sure that your relationship is healthy, communication. Also vibes, connecting emotionally, and loving yourself first. Being in charge of your own happiness. Don't put the onus on other people because you'll always be disappointed. How's that?
Words to live by, raise your kids by. And I think the hammer has been hit on the anvil pretty hard on this subject. How do you feel about it?
Feel good.
Feel good?
Feel good.
I feel good too. I'm also hungry, so the Chinaman will get my money tonight.
I hear that.
What do you guys having for dinner tonight? Hit us up in the comments. Hit us up in our email, and let us know how you feel about the show. Also, let us know how you feel about food tonight, because I need some goddamn suggestions. You know what I'm saying? Because pardon me, I'm not smoking, but it is what it is. We going to fade out of here. Dub Tape Podcast, Supreme Pooba,
And Ruby Craig.
We going to see y'all next time, all right? Peace.